Hello aspirants and welcome back to our Current Connect series. In our last video, we delved into the fascinating world of science and technology updates. Today, we are shifting our focus to another crucial aspect of global affairs, that is, international relations and security for the month of May. From bilateral exercises to regional collaborations, and from border security to maritime cooperation, there are various events that have far-reaching implications for India and as well as for the world. So, let's get started. In the first topic, we will be discussing the Kaladan multimodal transit transport project, which is a significant initiative that promises to enhance connectivity and boost the trade in the region. The Kaladan multimodal project is a game changer in the realm of transport and trade, right? So why? Because it aims to connect India's Kolkata port to the Situe port in Myanmar through a multimodal network which includes sea, river and land routes. Once completed, this ambitious project will provide a vital link between the northeastern states of India and the mainland, which will open up a new avenues for economic growth and development in the remote regions of the northeastern states. Now, let's understand the significance of this Kaladan project. It will reduce the distance from Kolkata to Situe by approximately 1328 kilometers. This will revolutionize the trade route and will decrease the dependency on the narrow Siliguri corridor or the Chicken Neck corridor, which is often congested, as you already know, right? And this alternative route will facilitate smoother movements of goods and also will strengthen India's connectivity with the Southeast Asian markets, isn't it? Currently, this project is well underway and we have just witnessed the official operation of the Situe port in Myanmar with the first vessel carrying 1000 metric tons of cement, right? And once this Situe port becomes fully operational, it will act as a crucial gateway connecting India to Myanmar's Rakhine state. From there, goods will be transported through the Kaladan River boat route to Paletwa in Myanmar and finally by road to the India and Myanmar border, as you can see from the figure, right? By integrating these various modes of transportation, the Kaladan project holds immense potential to boost trade and economic activities in the region. Additionally, it will also improve the socio-economic conditions of the local communities along the route. It will also open up new avenues and opportunities for the employment and prosperity in the region. As the Situe port inches closer to operation or the full operation, we can envision a future where Kaladan multimodal transport project becomes a catalyst for growth, trade and connectivity between India and its neighboring countries, right? Next up, we have some exciting development about the New Development Bank or the NDB as it's a recent milestone in India, right? Before that, let's learn about the NDB first. So, the NDB or the New Development Bank was established in 2014 and has its headquarters in Shanghai, China. It has members from BRICS nation, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and the South Africa, including then it includes Bangladesh, UAE and Egypt. It has been a key player in mobilizing resources for infrastructure and sustainable development projects in emerging markets and developing countries such as India, China, Brazil, etc. This multilateral development bank has an impressive portfolio of projects which includes its mission to contribute to the economic growth of different developing countries, also sustainable development goals and to achieve sustainable development goals around the world, right? Recently, the NDB took a significant step towards addressing the infrastructure needs in the South Asia region by launching its Indian Regional Office or the IRO in the prestigious Gujarat International Finance Tech City, also known as the GIFT City. This move aims to enhance its presence in India and also in the neighboring Bangladesh, which will allow it to effectively cater to the infrastructural and sustainable development needs of the region, right? The NDB has been actively involved in funding of major infrastructure projects in India as well. It provided support for projects such as the Mumbai Metro Rail project, the Delhi Ghaziabad Meerut Regional Rapid Transit System, and also it invests heavily in various renewable energy initiatives by India. Its financial backing for these projects has reached nearly around $4.2 billion US, which makes India the second largest recipient of NDB's financial support right after China. And apart from its financial contributions, the NDB has been recognized for its initiative or the innovative approach in areas like lending in local currencies, and also its successful issuance of bonds, including the green bonds, which promote environmentally sustainable projects, right? However, it is also essential to acknowledge that the NDB has faced with certain challenges, including a relatively low disbursal of loans. Additionally, political and economic crisis in some of the member countries also posed difficulties for the bank. Lending to Russian companies has also been affected due to the recent Western sanctions following the Ukrainian war. And also its strained relations between the China and India have represented their own set of challenges to the new development bank, right? Despite these hurdles, the establishment of the Indian regional office at the GIFT City marks a significant step towards enhancing financial cooperation and sustainable development in South Asia region. It will undoubtedly pave the way for the more robust economic growth and the infrastructural development in the region, isn't it? Next we have an important update on the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, or the IPEF, and India's concerns regarding a specific proposal made by the United States, and we need to discuss some of the important aspects of this IPEF. The IPEF, launched by US President Joe Biden on 23rd of May 2022. It is an economic initiative aimed at fostering collaboration and development in the Indo-Pacific region. It brings together 14 founding member nations, including Australia, Brunei, Fiji, India, Indonesia, Japan, Republic of Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, and the US. Together, these member nations represent a significant proportion of the global GDP, accounting for around 40% and around 28% of the world's trade. The IPEF is structured around 4 fundamental pillars, as you can see from the figure itself. The 4 pillars are trade, supply chains, clean economy, and fair economy. However, India has not yet joined the trade pillar, while it has actively participated in the other 3. Question is why India did so. Recently, a proposal was put forth by the US under the supply chains pillar of the IPEF. The proposal suggests that all partner nations will be required to provide advance notification of any changes to export regulations and tariffs. While this seems a bit practical as a measure for transparent and efficient trade, India has raised its own concerns about its implication on policy space and potential violation of the rules by World Trade Organizations, right? And India argues that notifications are traditionally made after the measures are taken and not before, right? This approach will allow nations to respond effectively to dynamic global economic conditions, isn't it? India is carefully evaluating the proposal and seeking industry inputs to protect its interests so that it aligns with the nation's economic and the trade priorities, right? Other important observation is that the geopolitical analysts have drawn a parallel between the IPF and the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or the TPP, from which US withdrew in 2017. This comparison has brought attention to the potential implications of the IPF on the regional economic dynamics and as well as for the international trade. So as the IPF unfolds and more nations join this significant initiative, it is essential to closely monitor the developments and their impact on the economic landscape of the Indo-Pacific region, isn't it? And India's strategic approach in evaluating the US proposal and its decision on the trade pillar will undoubtedly play a crucial role in shaping the future trajectory of this framework, right? So that's all about the IPF issue. Next up, the China Select Committee of the US House has made a significant recommendation proposing that India becomes a part of North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or the NATO Plus. Now, what is a NATO Plus? NATO Plus is a security arrangement that agreement that aims to enhance global defense cooperation by bringing together the NATO nations, which are 31 member military alliance, with 5 aligned nations, which are Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Israel, and South Korea. And this partnership seeks to strengthen strategic ties and collective security efforts. The recommendation holds substantial importance for both United States and for India. So for the US, It aligns with the strategic goal of winning the competition with China in the Indo-Pacific region, ensuring the security of Taiwan, and effectively implementing the economic sanctions in partnership with Quad and its G7 allies, isn't it? As you know, the Quad grouping, which includes the US, India, Australia, and Japan, holds immense potential for the US as it plays a critical role in addressing the regional security challenges and promoting a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific. For India, joining NATO Plus would facilitate seamless intelligence sharing with these 5 aligned nations as well as the NATO members, the NATO member countries, right? And this collaboration would provide India with access to the latest military technologies and innovation, isn't it? However, it is also important to note that India currently does not hold the status of major non-NATO ally, right? And this status is granted by the US and it comes with certain benefits in the area of defense trade and security cooperation. However, it does not entail any security commitments to the designated country. As India considers the recommendations and its potential implications, the nation's strategic decisions will have a profound impact on regional security dynamics. The move could further solidify the partnership between India and the US, which will pave the way for enhanced cooperation and coordination in addressing shared security concerns. From exam point of view, members of NATO, NATO Plus, along with status of India at NATO is important for you, right? Moving on to another recent development on the global stage, Ajay Banga, a prominent Indian American, has been appointed as the president of the World Bank, which actually makes a historic milestone, right? The selection process for the World Bank president is known for its openness, merit-based approach, and its transparency. The candidates for this prestigious position must be nationals of the bank's member countries, which reflects the global nature of the institution as well and its mission to address development challenges worldwide. In order to qualify for the role, the candidate must demonstrate a proven track record of accomplishments, particularly in managing large organizations and navigating complex economic and financial landscapes. This ensures that the individual selected for this crucial position is well equipped to lead the institution and effectively addresses the multifaceted challenges of the global economy. And as the president of the World Bank, Ajay Banga will also serve as the ex officio chairman of the Board of Executive Directors of IBRD, or the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and the International Development Association, or the IDA. These roles empower him to play a pivotal role in steering the bank's initiatives and lending operations, which contribute significantly to development projects and economic growth in member countries, right? And before we conclude, let's take a moment to understand more about the World Bank and its headquarters. The World Bank is an international financial institution that provides financial and technical assistance to the developing countries for development projects and programs. Its primary goal is to reduce poverty and promote sustainable economic growth in its member countries. The headquarters of the World Bank is located in Washington, D.C. in the United States, and it consists of 5 closely related institutions, each with its unique role and focus. The institutions include the IBRD that we just discussed, that is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the International Development Association, or the IDA, the International Finance Corporation, or the IFC, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, that is the MIGA or the MIGA, and the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, that is the ICSID. Together, they form the World Bank Group, and that sums up the discussion on the World Bank. Moving on to another remarkable achievement in the maritime domain, the Indian naval sailing vessel INSV Tarini has returned to Indian shores after an extraordinary trans-ocean intercontinental voyage. This expedition lasted 180 days, taking the INSV Tarini from the coast of Goa to the city of Rio de Janeiro, with stopover at Cape Town, that in South Africa, before making its return back to India. The INSV Tarini's journey is a crucial part of the Indian Navy's ambitious project to empower and inspire women in the world of sailing. As we speak, the Navy is gearing up for the next grand venture, a solo circumnavigation of the globe, exclusively undertaken by a brave and skilled woman sailor, right? And it's worth noting that the INSV Tarini has already been in news before, in 2017 when it achieved a groundbreaking milestone during the Navika Sagar Parikrama expedition, right? It was the first ever Indian vessel to circumnavigate the globe with an all-human crew, setting an inspiring example of courage, determination, and grit, isn't it? And the voyage was an incredible testament to the spirit of women empowerment and breaking gender barriers in the maritime domain itself. Now, let's dive into some of the latest joint military exercises that have been making headlines in the news. India's defense forces are actively engaging with their international counterparts, which will enhance bilateral and regional cooperation while strengthening their operational capabilities. First off, we have the 2023 edition of the Samudra Shakti, which is an India-Indonesia bilateral exercise that aims to boost maritime security and cooperation between these two nations, that is India and Indonesia. This joint exercise showcases the close bonds shared by India and Indonesia and reflects their commitment to safeguarding the vital sea lanes in the Indian Ocean region. Next on the list is the Jal Rahat exercise, a flood relief exercise that saw the combined efforts of various Indian agencies, including Indian Army, Sashastra Seema Bal or the SSB, National and State Disaster Response Force, District Disaster Management Authority, as well as police representatives. This collaborative disaster response exercise was conducted at Agrama Bridge on the Manas River in Assam. This is important, right? Which demonstrates India's preparedness to handle natural calamities and to provide swift assistance during the times of crisis. Next, we have the Sudarshan Shakti 2023, which is an extensive military exercise conducted by the Sapta Shakti Command of the Indian Army. It took place along the western borders in Rajasthan and Punjab, and this exercise focuses on testing and refining the combat readiness and interoperability of India's armed forces. It is a testament to India's commitment to maintaining a robust defense posture along its border. And lastly, let's talk about the 2023 edition of the Maritime exercise, Al-Mohed Al-Hindi, a bilateral naval exercise between Indian Navy and the Royal Saudi Naval Forces. And this joint military drill aims to foster the cooperation and synergy between the two navies, which further strengthens their capabilities to address emerging security challenges in the Arabian Sea region, right? So this exercise is mostly focused on the Arabian Sea region. These exercises underscore the India's proactive approach to international cooperation and its commitment to maintaining peace and stability in the region, isn't it? And it is also important for your GS prelims paper because questions on defense exercises were asked in the past year papers as well. Now, let's talk about the recent Asean Indian maritime exercise, or the AIM, which marked a significant milestone in strengthening the maritime cooperation between ASEAN nations and India. This inaugural exercise saw the participants from both sides coming together to promote trust, friendship, and confidence among the Asean and the Indian navies. The exercise was conducted in two phases. The harbour phase took place at the prestigious Changi Naval Base, which serves as the naval base for the Singapore Navy. And the second phase, known as the sea phase, was carried out at the strategic South China Sea, showcasing the collaborative efforts of the participating nations to ensure maritime security in the region. From the Indian side, we had the honor of witnessing the participation of two distinguished vessels, that is INS Delhi and INS Satpura. INS Delhi is India's first indigenously built guided missile destroyer, and INS Satpura is an indigenously built guided missile stealth frigate. India's maritime prowess was also demonstrated by the participation of the P-8I maritime patrol aircraft, right? And the primary aim of this AIM 2023 version was to foster greater cooperation and understanding between the ASEAN nation and India's navies. Such exercises are essential in building mutual trust and strengthening the bond between maritime nations, right? So that ends our discussion on recent developments in the domain of international relations and security. Now, let's solve some of the MCQs to check our understanding. The first question is on the IPF, or the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. The first statement says, the IPF is a US-led initiative that aims to strengthen economic partnership among 14 participating countries in the Indo-Pacific region. This statement is indeed correct because the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework is a US-led initiative launched by the President Joe Biden on May 23rd, 2022. It aims to strengthen economic partnership among 14 participating founding members in the Indo-Pacific region, right? And it is also open invitation for other countries to join as well. So, one is correct. The 4 pillars of IPF include trade, supply chain, clean economy, and fair economy. This is also a correct statement. However, the third statement that India has joined all these pillars is incorrect because India is yet to decide on the trade pillar. Next up, consider the following statements. New Development Bank has been set up by APAC. The headquarters of New Development Bank is in Shanghai. So, statement 1 is false because the proposal to set up New Development Bank was given by India, but it was created by the BRICS in 2014, not by APEC. So, statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct because its headquarters is in Shanghai. So, 2 is the right answer. Next up, the question is on NATO. With reference to NATO, consider the following statement. It is a military alliance established by Washington Treaty. NATO has never invoked the collective defense clause. Okay, so the statement 1 is correct because it is a military alliance established by the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that is the NATO Treaty, or it is also called the Washington Treaty of 1949, right? But the statement 2 is incorrect because the NATO has only once invoked the Article 5 of this Washington Treaty during the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center by the US, right? So, only 1 is the right answer. Next and the last question is on which of the following statement is or are correct about the Kaladan multimodal transit transport project. Myanmar, Bangladesh and India are involved in the project. No, this statement is not right because it only involves the connectivity between the Myanmar and the Indian states, right? And the project is being piloted and funded by the Ministry of External Affairs. Yes, Ministry of External Affairs is the funding and the piloting agency of this Kaladan multimodal project. So, only 2 is the right answer. And that's all for today's episode of Current Connect series for the month of May. I hope you found this episode very informative. Remember, knowledge is power and staying informed helps us make better decisions. Keep an eye out for the next episode where we will continue our journey of exploring the latest news and updates from various fields. Thank you for joining us today. Stay safe, stay informed, and until next time, keep learning and keep exploring. Thank you again.